Mia nodded, but then immediately shook her head. I and the junkyard, one thing was the scarcest, food. Those refugees who only relied on scavenging for a living were basically on the brink of starvation. Xiao took out a few compressed biscuits from his arms. These were emergency rations he carried with him. He had observed that there was a forest far away from the junkyard. He had a gun in his hand and wouldn't worry about food. Mia took a piece of compressed biscuit with some trepidation, as she had never seen this kind of food before. Under Su Xiao's guidance, Mia unwrapped the compressed biscuit and took a careful bite. Delicious. The starving girl began to eat ravenously. You're Mia, right? Take me out of here, and these biscuits are all yours. Mia, who had finished the compressed biscuit in her hand, stared straight at the few biscuits in Su Xiao's hand, swallowing her saliva. Okay, but you can't hurt me. Su Xiao didn't answer her, but instead rummaged in the shabby house, with Mia, who had recovered somewhat, following closely behind him. Where are you going? You're not a resident of the junkyard, are you? Su Xiao suddenly stopped, his eyes flashing coldly. He threw a biscuit on the ground and crushed it with his foot. Take me out of here, don't ask anything else. If Mia showed any abnormalities, the hand that Su Xiao held the gun in would aim at Mia's forehead. Mia was startled by Su Xiao's action and took a few steps back. Okay, alright. Mia didn't dare to say anything more and quickly walked ahead. Take me to the entrance of the Goya Kingdom. Su Xiao vigilantly scanned his surroundings. He occasionally saw refugees with murderous eyes. Those refugees immediately withdrew their greedy eyes when they noticed the gun in Su Xiao's hand. Recalling the information he got from the anime, Su Xiao began to think about his next move. The so-called junkyard was actually a large garbage dump. The Goya Kingdom had dumped a large amount of domestic waste outside the city, which led to the present situation. Those refugees with murderous eyes were originally residents of the Goya Kingdom. These people either committed serious crimes or offended the nobles, and were then driven out here. The garbage decomposed and produced a kind of green smoke with toxins, which spread in the junkyard and constantly eroded the lives of the refugees. The most obvious manifestation was that Su Xiao's life value had dropped from 100% to 98%. There were no doctors or food in the junkyard. Crime and disease spread here. This was a lawless area where everything was based on the strength of power. Through Mia's guidance, Su Xiao quickly left the junkyard and came to a high wall. The towering wall made of black stone stood tall, and a small city gate appeared in Su Xiao's sight. I can only take you this far. The Goya Kingdom has laws. Refugees can't enter the city. Once found, they will be executed. Although Mia was talking to Su Xiao, her eyes were always on the compressed biscuit in Su Xiao's hand. Su Xiao threw the compressed biscuit to Mia and ignored her. Mia also ran away directly. She led Su Xiao only because of the temptation of food, and there was no other reason. The city gate of the Goya Kingdom was wide open, and there were a few guards standing on both sides of the gate. This was just a side door, for the convenience of dumping garbage. Although the guards seemed lazy, cold lights flashed in their eyes from time to time. These guards must kill people regularly, killing those who intended to break into the city. Su Xiao hid to one side and didn't rush into the city. He was waiting for the right moment. It was impossible to fight hard with those guards. The residents of the pirate world were all unusually strong. Mia, a young girl, could recover normally in a short time after being hit hard by him. This made Su Xiao vigilant. Su Xiao guessed that the attributes of those guards were at least above 10 points, and possibly even higher. 1 hour, 2 hours, until 3 hours later, it was already noon. The temperature rose rapidly, and the weather became hot. The opportunity Su Xiao was waiting for finally appeared. A carriage full of domestic waste drove out of the city. The pungent smell of decay spread far away. The guards didn't even look at the carriage, but subconsciously retreated a few steps. Gentlemen, do you need a routine check? The cart driver stopped the carriage, somewhat afraid of the guards. Get out of here, it stinks. The guard waved his palm impatiently, showing no intention of checking at all. Su Xiao, who saw this scene from a distance, raised his eyebrows and quickly followed the carriage. When the carriage went deep into the garbage mountain and found an open space to dump the garbage, the previously submissive cart driver suddenly had a dagger around his waist. The law of the jungle was the rule of the junkyard. Lighting a cigarette to mask the smell, the cart driver picked up a shovel and began to clean the carriage full of stains. When the cart driver was busy sweating, Su Xiao, like a wild cat, quietly came behind the cart driver. Just as Su Xiao was about to knock out the cart driver, he stepped on a half-broken glass cup under his feet. Crack! A crisp sound came, and the cart driver's body shook. Su Xiao was also startled. In this dirty and messy junkyard, there was a thick layer of garbage under his feet, which was very soft to step on, and he couldn't detect anything under his feet at all. But at this moment, the arrow was on the string, and he had to send it, so Su Xiao directly pounced on it. The cart driver was not a good person either. He turned around and pulled out the dagger from his waist and stabbed it directly at Su Xiao. The cart driver's ferocious expression made Su Xiao understand that the other party wanted his life. Su Xiao's eyes began to turn cold. In this mission world, it was either you die or I die. Being merciful to the enemy was being cruel to oneself. Raising the flintlock gun in his hand, Su Xiao aimed the muzzle at the cart driver's head. If it were an ordinary person being pointed at with a gun, they would definitely stop or retreat immediately. But this cart driver was different. He actually rushed faster. Su Xiao pulled the trigger expressionlessly. The hammer behind the gun body hit the flint, and sparks splashed out. The gunpowder in the gun chamber was ignited, and a large amount of gunpowder was ignited in the small space, bursting out a strong kinetic energy. With the fire and smoke overflowing, the bullets in the gun chamber were ejected. Bang! Thick smoke rose, and a pungent smell of gunpowder spread. A lead bullet directly entered the cart driver's skull. The cart driver's forward body suddenly stopped and was directly knocked back 2 meters away. After a couple of twitches, he died. Prompt: you have killed a black market merchant. Your talent, Soul Eater, is activated, permanently increasing your mana by 5 points, with a current mana of 65 points. You got a treasure chest, White. This is your first kill. Storage space is opened, and the storage space can be upgraded in size using Paradise coins after returning to the Reincarnation Paradise. The prompt from the Reincarnation Paradise lets Su Xiao know that this was not a cart driver at all, but a black market merchant. He must have been doing some kind of trade in the junkyard using the identity of a cart driver. After the black market merchant died, a wooden box floated above his corpse. The box was entirely white and only palm-sized. Su Xiao tried to pick up the wooden box floating in midair. Although it was only palm-sized, it was heavy to hold. Treasure chest, White, open/do not open. Su Xiao did not open the treasure chest, but put the treasure chest and the old flintlock gun into the storage space. With a thought, the old flintlock gun appeared in his hand. Su Xiao was very satisfied with the newly appeared storage space. This was a very practical function. If he used this ability well, it would be of great help to him in completing his tasks. This place was not safe, so Su Xiao did not choose to open the treasure chest. In case the treasure chest opened and gave him a golden light, he would be in danger. Now, the most important thing is to enter the capital city of the Goya Kingdom. Su Xiao took off his jacket and put on the clothes of the black market merchant. After hesitating for a moment, Su Xiao directly fell on the ground in the water. The smell of filth came, and his clothes and cheeks were all stained with a large amount of dirty water, making it impossible for people to see his face clearly. Sitting in front of the carriage, Su Xiao clumsily controlled the horse and moved towards the city. This time, he held a dagger in his hand, which was the dagger of the black market merchant, but this dagger was somewhat different from what he imagined.